Alright, it looks like my next case is Mrs. Suzanne Maglow. You are the plaintiff. The respondent is your daughter, Miss Catherine Maglow. And you, Miss Maglow, are making a claim against your daughter for eternal loyalty and never-ending guilt. Is this information, as I've read it from the document, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Alright, now before I proceed, I must take note. Your daughter is rather young. How old are you, young lady?
I'm 16, Your Honor.
I find it rather strange that you don't have an attorney present. There is a program that we have encouraged you to utilize that would get you legal representation. Why don't you have an attorney present?
My mother said if I did that it would be me turning my back on her and that she'd kick me out of the house. I don't have anyone to defend me.
Mrs. Susan Maglow, is this true?
That is a lie, Your Honor. I did not say that. I said I would not let her get an attorney because she doesn't deserve one.
I'm going to get back to that comment in a moment, but please, Mrs. Maglow, tell me what happened. Substantiate your entitlement to this claim.
My daughter has sullied my good name and committed an act of slander, and I feel that my life is in danger.
Mrs. Maglow, that is not the story. That is your interpretation of events and motives. That is for me to decide. What I am asking you to do is tell me what happened.
Well, if you must fucking know, my daughter messaged all her stupid little friends that I'm a fucking racist. Now nobody'll fucking talk to me, and they're all agreeing with her because she manipulated them.
Order! Order! Mrs. Maglow, I don't know who you think you are, or what you think gives you the right to speak to me like that in my own courtroom. One more crack like that and I will find you in contempt of court. Yes, it is my right to know. That is how I make my decisions, and your testimony is not the gospel. Are we clear? Yes. Good. Then let's proceed with civility. Alright, so I have overlooked the evidence that you've provided me. Actually, you have provided me with no evidence, but your daughter has provided me with screenshots of her text messages to her friends. The one I am referencing reads, "You'll never believe what my mom said. She called our neighbor Tim a useless N-word and said he's gonna try to steal our potted plants." Is this something that you said, Mrs. Maglow?
Well, yes, but she didn't have to tell everybody and make me look like a bad person.
But that doesn't line up with your statement, Mrs. Maglow. In your statement, you said that your daughter falsified information and used it to make defamatory comments, aka slander, and that she called you a racist. The only time the word racist was ever used was by you in this courtroom and in your statement, Mrs. Maglow. It sounds to me like you believe that your 16-year-old daughter has an obligation to uphold your image.
Your Honor, how dare you accuse me of—
Mrs. Maglow, that is enough. I am not going to award you your claim. Would you like to know why I am not going to award you your claim?
You're biased!
No, you are a bad parent, Mrs. Maglow. The fact that you would not allow your daughter to have legal representation under threat of losing her home, which is illegal, I will have you know, and not allowing her to speak to her friends just for the sake of protecting your image is testament to the fact that you are a bad parent. You are manipulative and you are gaslighting her. What is more, your claim is ridiculous. Nobody is entitled to undying loyalty or never-ending guilt on behalf of or for anyone. Certainly not you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Young lady, do you feel safe to go home after this trial?
Honestly, no, I don't.
Then please come speak with me after the trial. I want to help you. Case dismissed. Right, so the next case on the docket is Miss Jennifer McLean. You are the plaintiff. The respondent is your mother, Mrs. Rachel McLean. And today, Miss McLean, you are making a claim for your mother to seek help for her eating disorder. Is this information correct as I have read it from the document?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Very good. Now, Miss McLean, what made you decide to come to court today?
Well, Your Honor, I've been so worried about my mom for the past 14 years, and I've tried and tried again to get her to go into recovery myself, but it never works. She just purges anyway and hides it from me.
14 years? That's quite a while. How old are you, Miss McLean?
I'm 19, Your Honor.
So you were 5 when you started feeling concern for your mother in regards to her eating disorder?
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't understand what it was, but I could hear her throwing up every night when I was little, and it scared me.
I see. And Miss McLean, could you tell me in which ways your mother's eating disorder has had a detrimental effect on your life?
Well, I'm scared to death, Your Honor. Every time I hear her purge, which is every single night, I'm scared she's gonna die. And I have a very unhealthy relationship with food now. In our house, if there's food in the house, you better grab it before it's gone. And I've developed an eating disorder myself because of my mom's disparaging comments towards other people's bodies and my own.
Mrs. McLean, were you aware of this?
Yes, Your Honor.
And have these hardships that your daughter has faced as a result of your eating disorder, including you making disparaging remarks about her body, ever motivated you to seek out recovery?
I've tried, Your Honor. Honest to God, I've tried. I've had this disorder for 45 years. I was raised to hate my body, and I can't stop myself from binging and purging. It's impossible.
Mrs. McLean, I empathize with you. Truly I do. But you cannot allow your eating disorder to detrimentally affect your child. She is living her life in fear. She has lived her life in fear of losing her own mother for 14 years. And I must emphasize above all else that it is absolutely unacceptable to make disparaging remarks about your daughter's body. And I really hope you can get help. And that is why I am awarding Miss Jennifer McLean her claim, and am ordering you to seek help for your eating disorder. And Miss McLean, I recommend strongly that you do the same. And if you guys would like to come up to me after the trial, I would be more than happy to direct you to resources that helped me with my eating disorder of 9 years. Case dismissed. Alright, the next case on the docket is Miss Marion Stearns. You are the plaintiff. The respondent is your mother, Mrs. Rebecca Stearns. And today, you, Miss Stearns, are making a claim against your mother for your bodily autonomy. Is this information as I read it from the document correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Alright, I have a feeling I already know where this is going. So before we proceed, I must ask you, Miss Stearns, how old are you?
I'm 17, Your Honor.
Very good. Now, Miss Stearns, could you please describe the conflict with your mother and how it pertains to your bodily autonomy?
Well, Your Honor, about 2 months ago I got stealthed by my now ex-boyfriend, and I got pregnant. I have decided that I want an abortion, but my mom will not let me. She says that she will kick me out of the house if I murder a child.
I see. When you say stealth, you are specifically referring to the act in which your boyfriend removed a condom without your consent, thus committing an act of sexual assault, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mrs. Stearns, is your understanding of this situation accurate to how your daughter has just described it?
Yes, Your Honor, but my daughter was not sexually assaulted.
You could not be more wrong, Mrs. Stearns. Stealthing absolutely is an act of sexual assault. It was performed during intercourse and against your daughter's will. Do you really want to have this argument with a judge? That's what I thought. Now, moving on forward, what is your reasoning for preventing your daughter from having an abortion? Purely medical, I hope.
I'm not gonna let my daughter be a murderer.
I refuse to humor this absurdity any longer, Mrs. Stearns. Your inability to understand what an abortion actually is as a procedure, and your inability to maturely approach the topic as an adult does not trump your daughter's right to bodily autonomy.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now, Miss Stearns, are you fully confident that this is how you want to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have access to your medical history and documents?
Yes, Your Honor.
And have you thoroughly researched and prepared yourself for this procedure?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. Then I award you your claim. On another note, if I find out that you, Mrs. Stearns, have kicked your daughter out of the house for getting an abortion, I will personally see to it that you are prosecuted for abandonment. Case dismissed. Alright, so the next case on the docket is Miss Marina Jacoviak. You are the plaintiff. The respondent is your mother, Miss Catherine Quincy, from whom you have separated both in name and in contact. And today, Miss Jacoviak, you are making a claim against your mother for $13,000 and accountability for inciting a hate crime. Is this information as I read it from the document correct, Miss Jacoviak?
Yes, that is correct, Your Honor.
I see. And if I'm reading correctly, this is actually a counter-lawsuit in response to your mother's lawsuit against you for sodomizing the sanctity of her home. Is this also correct, Miss Jacoviak?
Yes, Your Honor, if you can believe it.
All right, Miss Jacoviak, could you please describe to me the events that brought you into my courtroom today?
Gladly, Your Honor. You see, my mother is remarkably intolerant and recently discovered that I am a bisexual.
And there you go, shoving it in everyone's fucking face again. We get it, you're gay or something. It's just—
Order! Order! Mrs. Quincy, I did not permit you to speak. Now I recommend you keep quiet or I will find you in contempt of court. I am sorry, Miss Jacoviak. Please proceed. Thank you, Your Honor. Anyways, so as I was saying, my mother recently discovered that I am bisexual when she found pictures of me and my girlfriend together on Instagram. She didn't mention it to me until after she had already gotten to my apartment, but she had told me, she texted me that she was going to be coming over to my apartment. As soon as I opened the door, she started viciously attacking me, including digging her fingernails into my throat, and by the end of it, I had a broken hand and a broken foot.
Well, Mrs. Quincy, we already have security footage of you brutally assaulting your daughter, so there's no two ways about that. Now I ask you, is it true that your motive was her being bisexual?
No, Your Honor, you and my daughter are intentionally making me sound bad. My motivation isn't just my daughter being bisexual. My motivation, unlike my skank daughter, is to do the work of the Lord.
No. Mrs. Quincy, you can use the Lord as a justification for your heinous acts the day he decides to float through these doors and testify on your behalf. Oh, and tell him to pick me up a cup of that fucking magical water wine while he's at it. And for the record, Mrs. Quincy, I don't have to do anything to make you look bad. You are doing a marvelous job of doing that yourself. Not to mention, you do realize that you confessed to committing a crime, assault, in front of a courtroom stenographer, a bailiff, who is a county sheriff, and a judge. So good luck with that.
And I'm not scared of you. Don't try to scare me. It's not like my daughter can send me to jail.
You're right, Mrs. Quincy. She can't. But the judge who presides over your criminal case and the criminal prosecutor can.
What do you mean? You can't— I'm settling it all in this courtroom. You can't try me again. That's double jeopardy.
Mrs. Quincy, I am so sorry to hear that you have been so horrifically misled by the copious hours you've spent watching Law & Order Special Victims Unit, but that is not how double jeopardy works. This is a civil case, that would be a criminal case, and while remarkably unconventional that we are starting the civil case before the criminal one, I guarantee you'll see a criminal case after this. Alright, well I have come to my decision. I find in favor of the plaintiff, and I will be awarding you your claim, but I would like to double it from $13,000 to $26,000. Case dismissed. Alright, so the next case on the docket is Miss Justine Schmidt. You are the plaintiff. The respondent is your former high school, Santa Susana High School, and you, Miss Schmidt, are making a claim against Santa Susana High School for $5 million for a failure to act appropriately in response to sexual harassment against you as a minor, thus causing emotional damages. Is this information, as I've read it from the document, correct, Miss Schmidt?
Yes, Your Honor.
I see. Yes, I've heard some unsavory things about this high school. But Miss Schmidt, I see that you have no legal representation and are representing yourself, so this claim of $5 million is something you came to on your own. What made you decide on $5 million?
Well, Your Honor, from what went on in my 4 years at Santa Susana High School, I have come to the conclusion that they are incapable of and uncaring of the idea of reform, so I decided I want them to close down altogether, and I will do that myself by taking $5 million. I see. Now, Miss Schmidt, I know that it is very embarrassing, but I am going to have to ask you to tell me the events that led up to you making this claim. Gladly, Your Honor. There's a lot to cover, but I will start with the explicit images exchange via text. When I was a freshman in 2013, another freshman boy named Connor had pressured me into sending him explicit pictures of myself. When it came back to the administration, because another student had told them, I was brought into the office and simply told, well, we don't know if we have to tell your father or not. I said, please don't tell my father. I was scared of what my father would do. And they said, we're going to tell your father. So I had to wait for God knows how long for my father to get there. They told my father right in front of me. It was extremely humiliating. And I didn't realize that other students had been shown the images until I realized it this year, and it was a very traumatic realization. They should have told me.
I see. So, if I'm reading correctly from your statement while listening to your testimony, your wrongdoing was the only wrongdoing addressed in this little meeting, Miss Schmidt?
Yes, Your Honor.
I see. And Mr. Connor Hale's violation of your personal privacy via sharing these images with an unknown amount of other students was not addressed because it was not brought to your attention? Is that true, Miss Schmidt?
Yes, Your Honor. I had no idea. I suspect they didn't want to have to deal with that, too.
So in regards to telling your father in front of you, before they did, they played with the idea of not telling your father. Is that correct, Miss Schmidt?
Yes, Your Honor, and I begged them not to, but they ultimately decided that they were going to, so I had to wait in that room for maybe 20 minutes until he arrived and told him in front of me.
And did they ever make it known to your father that you were victimized?
No, Your Honor, they never made that clear at all.
I see. Now, Miss Schmidt, there is something very concerning that I've read from your statement. Could you please go into more detail about Mr. Connor Hale and his experience with a 6-year-old who was already a victim of that kind of assault?
Well, while Mr. Hale and I were walking during PE, he confessed to me that he and a 6-year-old who was already a victim of sexual assault were in a hot tub, and he had the 6-year-old perform an oral act on him, and I was immediately disgusted. I told my mom, who called the police. The next day, Mr. Hale confessed to me that he only told me that to turn me on because he knew I was also a victim of assault.
So he was in school the next day?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's despite the fact that the police were called in light of this extremely disturbing confession and went to his house, so surely the school must have known. Am I to understand that neither the police or the school took any further action in light of this extremely disturbing confession simply because Connor Hale went back on it?
As far as the school's concerned, I don't know, Your Honor. But I do know that when Connor said that he didn't do it and it was a lie and he started crying apparently, the police just left. But yes, he was in school the next day, Your Honor.
And it says here, Miss Schmidt, that as a result of these allegations not being taken seriously and as a result of the explicit picture exchange that you were fully blamed for, you did not report several instances of physical sexual assault. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. On school campus at that, he forced me to touch his genitals, and he forced me to allow him to touch me. I felt ashamed, and like I'd get in more trouble if I reported it.
I see. So the consequences of Santa Susana High School's actions were sexual assault on campus. Now, Miss Schmidt, could you tell me more about this situation where all of the girls on campus were scared for their own safety?
Yes, Your Honor. A friend of mine had confided in me and several others that a boy on campus had brutally assaulted her. When we brought it to the office's attention, nothing happened. There was radio silence. The alleged offender was still allowed to walk on our campus, and when I brought it to the school's attention myself that it made me very uncomfortable, they simply told me that the girl had retracted her allegations and that we had to be nice to him. No further investigation into it.
All right, so the next case on the docket is Mrs. Jordan Johnson. You are the plaintiff. The respondent is your daughter, Miss Katie Johnson. And today you, Mrs. Johnson, are making a claim against your daughter for eternal compliance in everything you ask her to do, with little to no accountability for your actions against her for as long as she naturally lives. Is this information, as I read it from the document, correct, Mrs. Johnson?
Well, when you say it in that tone of voice, you make it sound so cruel, but yes, I guess technically.
Well, there is no false perception about this, Mrs. Johnson. This is how you've put it in your document, which means this is how you would like it to be carried out. There is no subtext to this. Semantics and mind games are common in the courtroom, but not in your document stating what you would like to receive from this case.
Well, yeah, I guess so, but you can't forget that I'm loving my daughter the best I can with what I have inside.
I'll try to keep that in mind, Mrs. Johnson. Now, please describe to me the events that brought you into my courtroom today. Substantiate your entitlement to this claim.
Well, My daughter's trying to tell everybody that I was bad to her, and I don't know what I possibly could have done wrong. I mean, I used to take her shopping, I still take her shopping, and we hang out and we talk in the kitchen, and it was my understanding that we had a very good relationship. I don't understand what's going on.
Alright, well, Mrs. Johnson, besides these points that you've made that you feel constitute a good relationship with your daughter, were there any instances, past or present, of any negligent or abusive parenting on your part?
Not that I can think of now, Your Honor. I mean, some stuff did happen between us in the past, but the past is all behind us now, right?
Well, I'd like to see what your daughter has to say in regards to that. Hi there, young lady. Before I start, I'd like to ask you, how old are you, Miss Johnson?
I'm 19, Your Honor.
And, from reading from the document, it is my understanding that you actually had to meet up with your therapist several times to put your statement together because you were too afraid to put some of the things that you wanted to say onto this document. Is that correct, Miss Johnson?
Katie, why would you ever tell anybody that you were afraid of me? You know that you don't have to be afraid of me.
Order. Mrs. Johnson, that is enough. I did not permit you to speak, and if you want to speak over your daughter or behave in any sort of way that would affect her testimony, you are more than welcome to leave.
Okay, yes, Your Honor.
Wonderful. Thank you for permitting me to proceed as I see fit in my own courtroom, Mrs. Johnson. Now, Miss Johnson, before the trial, you spoke to me privately and said you would feel most comfortable if I read directly from your statement and point by point you would answer yes or no to each point. Is this your understanding of the agreement that we reached prior to the trial, Miss Johnson?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. I appreciate that.
Wonderful, Miss Johnson. I am happy to comply. Now, Miss Johnson, the first point, you say in your statement that at the age of 6, your mother had an abusive boyfriend who repeatedly physically and emotionally abused you as a child. Is that correct, Miss Johnson?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you also say that after the courtroom proceedings that ensued in regards to the abuse, your mother blamed you from the age of 6 onward for the entire ordeal and called you a liar. Wonderful. Thank you for permitting me to proceed as I see fit in my own courtroom.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. And the next one says, the next boyfriend that your mother had was extremely mean to you, glared at you, and never said a word to you. Your mother not only permitted this behavior, but told you that it was because, in her own words, of what you did to her. Is that also correct, Miss Johnson?
Yes, Your Honor.
My God. Now I will go down the rest of these, and you will tell me at the end if I have made any mistakes. She was also kind to the man that she knew was grooming you at the age of 16, called you fat on several occasions, had an active drug addiction while she was raising you, let that drug addiction cause her to put you in harm's way, had several extramarital affairs and let you know about it and demanded you keep it a secret. One of those extramarital affairs resulted in you needing to get a restraining order against the man she was having an affair with because he was threatening to kill you. And to top it all off, she never apologized for any of this. Is this true, Miss Johnson?
Yes.
And there's still more stuff on this list. There is 9 pages worth of stuff on this list, Mrs. Johnson. That doesn't sound like a good relationship to me. You are a coward, Mrs. Johnson. You cannot buy your way out of apologizing to your daughter for what you have done. You cannot manipulate your daughter into forgetting what has happened to her. You cannot expect your daughter to come running at your call because you are crying crocodile tears. You're a bad parent, Mrs. Johnson, and I am so sorry that your daughter has had to endure your manipulation and your cruelty. I do not award you your claim, and quite frankly, I am terrified for your daughter. Miss Johnson, come up to me after the trial. I want to help you. Case dismissed. Get the fuck out of my courtroom. So the next case on the docket is Mr. Dorian Mullaney. You are the plaintiff. The respondent is your girlfriend, Miss Mandy Sings. And today you, Mr. Mullaney, are making a claim against Miss Sings for full access to her phone since you are the one who bought it for her. Is this information as I've read it from the document correct, Mr. Mullaney?
It sure is, Your Honor.
I see. And on another note, Mr. Mulaney, you might want to dress more appropriately next time. You are in court. You're not auditioning for Newsies. With all due respect, Mr. Mulaney, I don't want to hear it. Anyways, moving right along. Miss Sings, Mr. Mulaney, how old are you? Well, Your Honor, my girlfriend... Mr. Mulaney, you are not to answer on behalf of Miss Sings. I want you each to answer in the order that I have stated your names.
I'm 18, Your Honor.
And Mr. Mulaney, you are? I'm 35. Alright, so the next case on the... Congratulations, Mr. Mulaney. You just barely managed to escape being in court for other reasons. Anyways, Mr. Mulaney, please tell me what brought you into court today. Substantiate your entitlement to this claim. Love is love, Your Honor, and that is none of your business. Anyways, if you're so smart as you claim you are and clearly think you are, then the claim should be pretty self-explanatory. I bought her the damn phone, so I have the right to know what's in it. I'd watch your tone if I were you, Mr. Mulaney, and the reason I ask is because your statement does not substantiate your claim at all. Now, Miss Sings, why did Mr. Mulaney buy you this phone?
It was a present, for my 18th birthday, Your Honor.
For your 18th birthday. So, you and Mr. Mulaney were involved before you turned 18.
Well, yeah, but we didn't do anything yet.
Well, it looks like I spoke too soon, Mr. Mulaney. You probably will be in court for something else. What do you mean? You heard the girl. We didn't do anything until she was 18. Girl is right, Mr. Mulaney, because she is, in fact, a girl, and you are a fully grown man with a fully matured brain. This constitutes child grooming, from what I've read from the document and from what I've heard from Miss Singh's statement. I don't even care about the claim. You are not awarded your claim. That was clearly an unconditional gift that you turned into some sort of predatory loan. Speaking of predatory, that seems to be a testament to your nature, Mr. Mulaney, because you are clearly grooming Miss Singh's here. It doesn't matter if you actually engaged in intercourse after she turned 18. You were preparing her to do so before she turned 18. She is still very much far from being fully matured as an adult. And I hope to God you are brought to court. Now, Miss Sings, I do not want to be misconstrued, and I do not want to come off as condescending, because that is not my intention. I only have your best interest in mind. There is such a thing as a healthy age gap in a relationship, but this is not one of them. This is very unhealthy. This is very clearly a power dynamic that was calculated by Mr. Mulaney over here, and I really hope you press charges, because you were groomed and manipulated, and I suspect that you are currently being abused. Whether or not you're being physically abused does not take away from the fact that you are very clearly being emotionally abused and manipulated. I deny you your claim, and I hope that a criminal judge takes this matter into his hands. Case dismissed. Alright, so the next case on the docket is Miss Gloria Patinkin. You are the plaintiff. The respondent is your father, Mr. Joseph Patinkin. And today you, Miss Patinkin, are making a claim against your father for suspicion of child abuse in the home. Your claim isn't on this document, Miss Patinkin. Did you know that your document was incomplete?
I'm not the one who made the claim, Your Honor.
Oh dear. How old are you, Miss Patinkin?
I'm 12, Your Honor.
This was your school district's doing, wasn't it, Miss Patinkin?
Yeah.
Will the administrator representing this school district please step forward?
That would be me, Your Honor.
Please state your name for the court record.
Mrs. Patricia Bullshot, Your Honor.
Bullshot, huh? Very fitting. Now, Miss Bullshot, after you made this claim on this child's behalf, did you expect her to fend for herself?
I'm just a mandated reporter. I did my due diligence. See you later, Gloria.
Before I proceed, Mr. Patinkin, you are excused. Please leave the courtroom.
You can't talk to my daughter without me present.
I can and I will. Mr. Patinkin, leave my courtroom now!
That's what happens when we put women in positions of power, fucking bitch.
Alright, Miss Patinkin, you and I are now one-on-one. Are you afraid to go home with this man?
Do you promise my father won't have access to the court transcripts, Your Honor?
This isn't your first time in a courtroom setting, is it, Miss Patinkin?
Nope. Not by a long shot, Your Honor.
You have my word, Miss Patinkin. Your father will not have access to the court transcripts. I promise. But the question still remains. Are you afraid to go home with your father?
Yes, I am. I don't want to go home with him. He's gonna kill me after this.
I see. Does your father abuse you, Miss Patinkin?
Yes, he does. Please help me.
Well, fortunately, Miss Patinkin, this paperwork is incomplete, so this will be deemed a mistrial. So none of this will get back to your father. And you have my word. You will not be going home to your father tonight. Approach the bench after the trial. I would like to help you. Case dismissed. Now, Miss Patinkin, approach the bench, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, my promise remains intact. You will not be going home with that man tonight. Miss Patinkin, does your father possess any illegal drugs? You won't tell him if I tell you? Well, he'd get caught, but I assure you the blame would fall entirely on my shoulders, Miss Patinkin. And I assure you he won't be there to enforce any consequences. He sells meth. Does he make it himself, or does he buy it from somebody else? I will literally fucking die if you tell him what I'm about to tell you. Honey, he won't know what hit him by the time he gets arrested. Unfortunately, this system is much more concerned with drug busts than with the well-being of children. Why not use it for good this time? All right. If you swear on God. Our basement's a lab. Well, that makes this far less complicated. I will have you escorted to the room where the children stay during family court matters, while I sort out your paperwork. Don't worry, Miss Patinkin. This will all be resolved. Wait a minute. Wait. If you're planning on getting my dad arrested, where am I gonna go? I don't have anyone else. Hey, calm down. Calm down. Breathe, okay? I promise you, I'm not just gonna leave you dangling. No, I am a foster parent, and I know many other wonderful foster parents who would be more than happy to foster you if I can. Okay, 1, you'd be willing to foster me. And 2, I don't know a lot about law, but I don't know if you're allowed to do that. I've been doing it for 7 years. At this point, when I want to do something, people know better than to try to stop me. You are one hell of a judge, Miss Monroe. Well, I try my best, kiddo. Hey. Alright, so the next case on the docket is Mr. J.C. Casket. You are the plaintiff. The respondent is your daughter, all caps, Lex Casket. And today, you, Mr. Casket, are here to demand that your daughter is involuntarily sent to an insane asylum for an indefinite amount of time. Is this information, as I've read it from the document, correct, Mr. Casket?
Yes, Your Honor, and you'll see what I mean. My daughter is out of her fucking mind.
Mr. Casket, do not swear in my courtroom. That is your one and only warning. And from the way you are emphatically saying her and daughter, I am starting to piece together that there is an entirely different issue here altogether. Will the respondent please tell me their gender, name, and pronouns? Well, I'm...
Girl, daughter, woman, And you're lucky you are, because I swear to God, if you were a boy, I would have killed you by now. Order! Mr. Casket, I did not permit you to speak. You take one more step out of line and I will find you in contempt of court. Compose yourself and be respectful, or spend the rest of this trial outside of the courtroom and the next 90 days in the county jail.
Very good. Now I ask again for the respondent to tell me their gender, name, and pronouns.
I am a man. My name is Nathan Casket, and I use he, him pronouns, Your Honor.
Very well. Then I will be referring to you as such, and I will be referring to you as Mr. N. Casket to avoid confusion. And any attempts to derail the trial over this will have you found in contempt of court. Is that understood, Mr. Casket? All right. Now, Mr. Casket, please explain your reasoning behind wanting to have Mr. N. Casket institutionalized.
Because she's insane. She can't get over anything. All she wants to do is hurt herself or kill herself. Complain. Get over it. It happened when you were 9.
Order. Mr. Casket, when you say it, what are you referring to?
Her older cousin messed around with her a little bit when she was 9. It happened years ago. He didn't mess around with me a little. He raped me. And after that, he sexually assaulted me over and over again. And you did nothing.
Order. Mr. N. Casket, I understand how hard this must be for you, but I'm gonna have to ask you to speak only when I have spoken to you.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry. It's just, I've never been able to say that to his face. Ever.
I understand. Now, Mr. Casket, is your understanding of these events, which you are flagrantly disregarding, accurate to how your child has just described them?
Well, yes, but it has been long enough. She's weak. She can't get over it. There is something wrong with her.
No, you have something wrong with you, Mr. Casket. Your son, as a 9-year-old, was raped, and he was sexually assaulted after the fact. Not only did you, as a parent, fail to act, you are saying that his inability to cope with the trauma is grounds for him being involuntarily institutionalized?
No, there are plenty of other reasons.
Well, we'll get back to those reasons in a moment. I can't wait to hear them. But first, I must ask, Mr. N. Casket, was your cousin incarcerated for what he did to you?
No, Your Honor.
While being aware of this sexual abuse, did your father force you to interact with this cousin of yours?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did your father confront this cousin of yours in any way at all?
No, Your Honor. He blamed me for it, for not telling him sooner.
Now, Mr. Casket, why don't you fill me in on these other reasons you believe your son should be institutionalized? All rational and for his well-being, I would hope.
She's lazy, and she fakes being sick all the time.
Do you suffer from any illnesses, Mr. N. Casket?
Yes, Your Honor. I have an ulcer, I have chronic migraines, tachycardia, IBS. I also have autism, but my parents refuse to accept that.
No. And why won't you accept his autism diagnosis, Mr. Casket?
Because it's not true. The psychologist just wanted to scam us for a quick buck.
Mr. Casket, do you at least concur that your son has been accurately diagnosed with all of the other conditions previously mentioned?
Yes, but it's not that bad.
I don't want to hear another word, Mr. Casket.
Don't you dare talk over me, you stupid bitch! If it wasn't for men like me, you wouldn't even be sitting in that chair right now!
Order! Mr. Casket, I am finding you in contempt of court, 90 days in the county jail. Bailiff, escort him out of my courtroom.
You think you have power over me? You haven't seen the last of me. I'm gonna fucking get you, you bitch!
Now, before I conclude this case, I have a few questions for you, Mr. N. Casket. First of all, are you afraid to go home with this man?
Yes, Your Honor.
Does your father abuse you?
Yes.
He uses my fear of him to control me. He smacks me on the back of the head whenever he thinks I'm lying or being disrespectful. And the guns. He has so many guns, and he treats them like toys. He revels in memories of him killing people.
He's confessed to murder?
He's a police officer, Your Honor.
Oh dear. Well, I think it goes without saying I'm ruling in favor of the respondent, and Mr. N. Casket, if you could approach the bench after the trial, I have something I'd like to discuss with you. Case dismissed. Now, Mr. N. Casket, approach the bench, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
I cannot, in good conscience, allow you to remain in that home. You are an adult, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm 20 years old.
So I'm assuming the reason that you've remained in this environment is because you are financially dependent. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Right now I'm trying to build an escape fund, but so far it hasn't been working out.
Well, then I will do my best to assist you. Do you have a PayPal?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
All right. And what is it?
It's areanNC@gmail.com. Why do you ask, Your Honor?
Now, Mr. NK, because I want to make sure that you get what you need and get out of there as soon as possible. If enough people donated, you'd probably finally be able to get out of that terrible home.
Thank you, Judge Monroe.
Well, don't thank me yet. We'll have to see what happens. But I do wish you all the luck in the world that you finally... Alright, so the next case on the docket is Miss Michaela Caspian. You are the plaintiff. The respondents, my apologies, are your mother and sister, Mrs. Marion Caspian and Miss Nina Caspian. And today you, Miss Caspian, are making a claim against your mother and sister for $5,000 for years of abuse and negligent parenting. Is this information, as I've read it from the document, correct, Miss Caspian?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Alright, and before I proceed, it says here, Miss Caspian, that you have been emancipated. How old are you, Miss Caspian?
I'm 17, Your Honor.
I see. And it says here that despite being emancipated, you still reside with your mother and sister. Is that correct, Miss Caspian?
Yes, Your Honor, but I'm hoping the outcome of this court case will help me gain some financial independence.
Financial independence, huh? By living off of mommy's money? God, you're fucking pathetic.
Order! Miss Nina Caspian, I did not permit you to speak. Do not speak unless I have spoken to you. Do not swear in my courtroom, and take your cap off. If I have to repeat any of these things, you will be found in contempt of court. My goodness, young lady, you make a lousy first impression.
Alright.
It's very apparent to me that you are used to getting away with everything. Do not get too comfortable in my courtroom, Miss Nina Caspian. Alright. Miss Michaela Caspian, please describe the events that brought you into my courtroom today. Substantiate your entitlement to this claim.
Well, Your Honor, my older sister has abused me every single day for the past 10 years, and that's just from what I can remember. My mom won't believe me. My mom won't support me, even though she's watched.
Mrs. Caspian, do you dispute this?
Yes, Your Honor, I dispute this. I completely dispute this. I don't know why my daughter insists on making up lies about me and her sister. I don't know why she hates us so much. I think she's just upset that she'll never be anything like her sister.
Well, I, for one, Mrs. Caspian, am relieved that your daughter Michaela here is nothing like her sister.
Honor, that is my daughter you are talking about!
Yes, Mrs. Caspian, I am very fully aware. And if you decide to raise your voice or speak out of turn again, you two will be sharing a jail cell for the next 30 days. Am I understood? All right. Now, Miss Michaela Caspian, I greatly appreciate your patience. It says here that you have evidence of this abuse that you would like to present to the court.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm used to it. But yes, I have photograph evidence.
Thank you, Miss Caspian. Oh, my goodness, this is quite a hefty stack. This photograph evidence documents abuse going back
2 months, Your Honor.
$2 months. This entire collection of photograph evidence documenting abuse only dates back 2 months?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct. 2 months.
Nina and Marion Caspian, what are your responses to this?
She did all that to herself. It's for attention.
Yeah, what my mom said.
So, Mrs. Caspian, you are making the declaration that this laceration going all the way from your daughter's right shoulder down to her left hip is self-inflicted? That is what you are saying?
Yes, and I stand by that.
Miss Michaela Caspian, how do you recall getting this injury?
Well, Your Honor, that particular injury is from when my older sister decided to sharpen the edge of a frying pan and start chasing me around the house, swinging it at me. She caught up to me, she got my whole back.
Miss Nina Caspian, your laughter at your younger sister's recollection of this truly terrifying and gruesome experience is very telling. You think you're invincible, don't you, young lady?
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
That is Judge Monroe, or Your Honor, to you, young lady, and I assure you, you will not find this very funny in a moment. Now, I am ruling in favor of the plaintiff, but I would like to double your claim from $5,000 to $10,000.
What?
Each.
Wait, what?
Oh yes, Miss Nina Caspian, you heard me correctly. I said $10,000 each. $10,000 from your mother and $10,000 from you. I'm guessing you had that cocky attitude because you thought you were just gonna slide on through this using, in your words, mommy's money.
I'm a 24-year-old living in Southern California.
And your little sister is a 17-year-old girl who you slashed in the back with the sharpened edge of a frying pan. Tough shit, Miss Nina Caspian.
Oh my god.
Now, Miss Michaela Caspian, is $20,000 enough to get you on your way to independence?
Yes, Your Honor, more than enough.
Very good. I wish you all the best, Miss Michaela Caspian. Court adjourned. Alright, so the next case on the docket is that vegan teacher, otherwise known as Miss Karen. You are the plaintiff. The respondents are all the non-vegans of TikTok. And today you, Miss Karen, are making a claim against the TikTok carnists for them to become vegan. Is this information, as I've read it from the document, correct, Miss Karen?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Karen. Please substantiate your entitlement to this claim.
Okay.
Miss Karen, what are you doing?
Eating animals is wrong, Your Honor. Hurting animals is wrong, Your Honor. Share this song so
take
that
that-
you
take that
can
away from
be
her.
vegan from. Yes, you need to be vegan.
Now, Miss Karen, please substantiate your entitlement to this claim without bursting into song.
All right, Your Honor. If you're not a vegan, you condone rape and murder. It's that simple.
Excuse me, Miss Karen?
Yep, that's right, Your Honor.
I'll be getting back to that comment in a moment. But Miss Karen, first I must ask you this. Have you ever considered other factors that might prevent someone from being vegan, such as financial reasons or health conditions?
Health conditions. That's cute. There's no reason not to be vegan.
Well, that's certainly not true. But, I would like to speak to one of these TikTok carnists, if I may. Sir, please state your name for the court record.
John Robert Bell, Your Honor.
Alright, and Mr. Bell,
John Robert Bell, you're going straight to hell.
It says so, and he should know. He says you're a big old bully.
Bailiff, I thought you confiscated her guitar. I did. She has another one.
Miss Karen, give me that! Where did you even get this? Where do you keep pulling these out of?
Well, Your Honor, vegans are very resourceful. And sometimes when I don't have a free pocket, I'll take things and shove them up.
No, don't stop. Please, Miss Karen, for the love of God, don't answer that question. But I will say this, if you decide to respond to another one of my questions with a little concert, I will find you in contempt of court. Now, do you have any other instruments you'd like my bailiff to confiscate? I mean it. Not one more instrument. Now, Mr. Bell, the respondents have decided unanimously that they want you to represent them. What is your affiliation with Miss Karen here?
Well, Your Honor, I don't know Miss Karen personally, only from what she's posted on TikTok, and I have come to the conclusion that she is a disingenuous provocateur who cares more about insulting people and getting attention than promoting or encouraging veganism. Karen, be better.
I see. Mr. Bell, please elaborate.
Well, for one, she constantly makes a mockery of and disrespects people for their religious affiliations. Myself included. She attacked me personally for my religious affiliations.
And Mr. Bell, in what ways has she mocked and disrespected you and other people's religious affiliations?
Well, while telling people that they should change their religions like they change their underwear, completely flagrantly disregarding the importance of religion to many people, she has told people, including me specifically, that eating meat will get us sent to hell, and the only way to go to heaven is by being vegan.
Oh, I see. Miss Karen, do you dispute this?
Nope, I don't dispute it at all. If you want to get to heaven, you better be vegan. If you
No. Order. Miss Karen, I am finding you in contempt of court, 30 days in the county jail.
Alright, I'll write some songs about you while I'm in there.
I'm sure you will, Miss Karen. I'm sure you will. And I think it goes without saying at this point, I do not award you your claim.
Wow, what do you know? A judge who condones rape and murder.
The audacity you have to make that statement, Miss Karen, is absolutely blood-boiling. Would you say that to all of the non-vegan victims of sexual assault, that they condone rape?
Well, if they're not vegan, then they do.
Miss Karen, you disgust me beyond all measure. Once again, I do not award you your claim, and I will not allow you to waste any more of my or this poor man's time. Case dismissed. Get out of my courtroom. Alright, so the next case on the docket is Miss Athena Duran. You are the plaintiff. The respondent is your mother, Mrs. Melinda Duran. And today, you, Miss Duran, are making a claim against your mother for closure for years of abuse with no acknowledgement of said abuse. Is this information, as I've read it from the document, correct, Miss Duran?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Duran, please describe the events that brought you into my courtroom today. substantiate your entitlement to this claim?
Sure, Your Honor. I am 24 now, and my whole life, up until last year, my mother was a raging alcoholic. She abused me. She let her past partners abuse me. We were in and out of apartments. And to this day, she refuses to apologize to me because she sought forgiveness from God.
Mrs. Duran, do you dispute this?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
That was a pretty reluctant yes, Mrs. Duran. Why don't you elaborate and tell me where your daughter has gone wrong or is being dishonest here?
Well, my daughter is right. Up until last year, I was an alcoholic. Then I sought treatment, and I sought forgiveness from God. I accepted the Lord into my heart as my Savior. And now I'm a changed woman. The me from the past is not the me in the present, and I don't know what more she wants from me. You completely missed the point. You missed the point again. How the fuck could you not understand what I'm asking you to do?
Order. Miss Duran, I understand how hard this must be for you, but I'm gonna have to ask you to lower your voice in my courtroom.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I'll compose myself.
Thank you, Miss Duran. Now, Mrs. Duran, with all due respect, your testimony was far from compelling. If anything, you just completely substantiated your daughter's entitlement to this claim, both in the content of your testimony and your attitude.
Your Honor, what more do you want from me? I have changed. I overcame this disease called addiction, and I do everything in my life for the Lord. My daughter won't even let me see my granddaughter. This is all in the past. Why drudge it up in the present?
Let's see if your daughter's responses to these next few questions clears that up for you. Now, Miss Duran, could you please elaborate on the events that took place on June 3rd, 2005 with Mr. Michael McIntosh?
Gladly, Your Honor. But don't be surprised if my mother covers her ears. She doesn't like to hear about this kind of stuff. Anyways, Michael was my mother's boyfriend back when I was 10 years old. This happened a lot, but on that particular instance, he and my mom both got really, really drunk, and they decided that I was being too loud and started throwing knives at me. I ran away from the knives, and then when they got angry that they couldn't hit me with any of the knives, they chased me into my room and started pulling my hair.
Athena, that was in the past. Why do you keep bringing that up?
Mrs. Duran, be quiet while your daughter is testifying, or I will find you in contempt of court. This is your one and only warning. Am I understood?
Fine. Good. Now, Miss Duran, has your mother ever properly acknowledged or apologized for this event or any of the other events listed in your document?
Nope. She responds just like she's responding now. She covers her ears, she cowers away, or she goes, I found God, that was me in the past. Why do you always have to torture me like this?
How remarkably predictable. And Miss Duran, have you suffered trauma from these experiences?
Absolutely I did. As a child, I lived every day in fear that I was gonna die. I had to hold my mother's hair while she was vomiting into the toilet. I had to barricade my door because she would always try to come in and beat me. I'm not letting you anywhere near my daughter.
And for that, I do not blame you. Not one bit, Miss Duran. And I think your mother has a lot of audacity to demand that you do so. Now, Mrs. Duran, give me one good reason that I should even look in your direction after you have destroyed your daughter's life and refused to take accountability for it, boasting 1 year of sobriety as a justification for all of that.
Only God can judge, Your Honor, and only God can forgive, and He has forgiven me, and that is all that matters.
So in essence, no, blatantly, you have just said that your daughter's forgiveness does not matter. Mrs. Duran, your sobriety is a result of success with the 12-step program, is that correct?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
So surely you are familiar with the biblical passage, O Lord, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, correct?
Of course I do, Your Honor. And as a woman of God and a recovered alcoholic,
I live by it.
No, Mrs. Duran, you absolutely do not.
How could you say that to me? Of course I do!
No, Mrs. Duran, you absolutely do not! There is no serenity in just having callous indifference over the damage you have caused. And you have no courage, as is evident here, when faced with your daughter, who just wants you to acknowledge the wrong that you've done. You cower away and hide behind God. And wisdom? Oh, you have no wisdom.
There's no use getting through to you. You're hateful, and you're an ideological bigot who hates God. Athena, if you don't let me see my granddaughter, and if you don't let me in, I'm gonna relapse.
Did you just threaten your daughter with relapsing, Mrs. Duran?
It's not a threat, Your Honor. It's just what's gonna happen.
Oh, how stupid and arrogant you are to think you can pull the wool over my eyes, Mrs. Duran. You are manipulating your daughter and threatening her with a relapse after she's had to endure your alcoholism her entire life. You are the lowest scum walking the earth. God doesn't love you. How could God love you when you don't even love your own daughter? Miss Duran, unfortunately, I can't award you your claim in a way that would be to your satisfaction.
Well, why not?
Well, unfortunately, no matter what you say, and how many times you say it, your mom's not going to accept it. But you can take solace in the fact that you tried your best, and you can move on with your life knowing that you did.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Now, I don't want to be misconstrued, Miss Duran. I understand. That is so much easier.
It's not. Yeah, you're right about that.
Now, I don't want to be misconstrued, Miss Duran. I understand. That is so much easier said than it is done. Your mother has put you in an absolutely awful predicament, and you're going to need help to get through this. I hope you have many friends who are loving and willing to support you, and I am more than happy to direct you to resources and therapy that helps people like you in situations like this. Court adjourned. Mrs. Duran, get out of my courtroom!